Shuklambaradaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Apara Karuna Sindhum Jnanadam Shantarupinam Sri Chandrasekharendra Pranamami Mudanvaham. The Hindu Dharma, Part 5, the Vedas, Chapter 19, the celestials and mortals help each other. The sacrifices you will have seen are of the utmost importance in our Vedic religion. The Lord himself has spoken about them in the Gita. When Brahma created the human species, he also brought the yajnas or sacrifices into existence, bidding mortals thus, quote, "Keep performing sacrifices. You will obtain all good fortune. May these sacrifices of yours be the cow, Kamadhenu, that grants you all you desire." End quote. Saha yajnah praja shristva purovacha prajapatihi anena prasavisyadhvam yeshavo kamadhika. If we assume that Brahma, quote, created humans and with them sacrifices, end quote, it is likely to be constructed that he first created human beings and then sacrifices. But actually, it is stated in the Gita that Prajapati created yajna along with mankind. Saha yajnah praja shristva. Yajna is mentioned first and then praja, mankind. Since the mantras of the Vedas are the source of creation, the vibrations produced by chanting them will bring the divine powers invested with the authority of performing certain functions. To recite such mantras at a sacrifice is like writing the address on an envelope. It is by performing homa in this way that the oblation is conveyed to the deity invoked by Agni. The dog is stronger than the cat, the horse stronger than the dog, the elephant stronger than the horse, and the lion stronger than the elephant. To extend this sequence, who are stronger than men? The Devas or celestials. While in this world they would remain dissolved in the five elements, in the celestial world they exist in a visible form. Those who have obtained siddhi or perfection by chanting the mantras can also see them in their gross form in their celestial abode, besides receiving their blessings in their subtle form. The gods emitted from the Paramatman as a result of the vibrations produced by the mantras. We may therefore describe the mantras as sonic form of the deities. The deity appears during a sacrifice when he is invoked with mantras. Those who are wise and mature will perceive them with their eyes. Even if they do not, the power of the deities will be subtly revealed to them. However, offerings cannot be made directly to them. When you write a letter, you have to stick a stamp on it or put the seal of the registrar. According to the regulations of the Vedas, any oblation intended for the celestials must be offered in the sacred fire in a form acceptable to them. What remains after the sacrificial fire has consumed the offering, yajna shishta, is taken as prasada by the performers of the sacrifice. The question is asked, how does the same reach the deities invoked? We should not entertain such doubts. The deities are not like us, created of the five elements. So they do not require food in the gross form. Even in our case, the food we eat is burned, digested by the gastric fire. Its essence alone is conveyed to all parts of the body in the form of blood. The subtle essence of the offerings is conveyed by the sacrificial fire to the deities invoked. You know how a toast is proposed to the guest of honor at a dinner or banquet. The host and invitees drink to his health. This means that when a group of people drink or eat ceremoniously, the benefit goes to someone else. Do you ask how this is possible? Such things can be explained only on the basis of a certain mental attitude. Good intentions and good thoughts have their own creative power. When the thought waves of the Paramatman have come to us in the form of mantras, they must truly be pregnant with the utmost power for good. The offerings made to the deities with the chanting of mantras will increase their strength. The celestials, of course, strong, but they are neither almighty nor full. They too have their wants and desires, and these are met by the sacrifices performed by us. If they help us by making our mundane existence happier, we have to help them by performing sacrifices. If we conduct yajnas so that they may flourish, they will in return bless us with well-being. Sri Krishna says in the Gita, Devan bhavayatanena tadeva bhavayantuvaha parasparam bhavayantaha shreyah param avapsyatha. Our religious texts are replete with accounts of how people have merited the grace of Ishvara and pleased the celestials by performing sacrifices. If the celestials brings us rain, bless us with food, health, etc., why should we perform sacrifices so as to provide them with food, we are asked. Quote, why should we feed the deities when we ourselves are dependent on them for our food and clothing? Why cannot they manage to obtain food on their own? How would you explain the last statement in this verse quoted above? Parasparam bhavayantaha. To quote that we must regard the celestials as great beings and make obeisance to them seems reasonable enough. So let us worship them. But instead of this, why are we seemingly elevated and placed on an equal footing with them? What is the meaning of our being told, quote, you sustain them and let them sustain you. You feed them by performing sacrifices and let them bless you with rains, end quote. When I consider such questions, it seems to me that the world of the celestials is like England and that they themselves are like Englishmen. Is there much agricultural land in England? No. Yet Englishmen lorded over the world. They boasted, the quote, the sun never sets on our empire, end quote. What was the secret of their world dominance? England is poor in food resources. It has plenty of coal and chalk. Coal that is black and chalk that is white. These are the main resources of Englishmen, but they cannot eat them. If machines and factories are to be installed in countries where food crops are grown in plenty, they will need a lot of coal and chalk. That coal is essential to industry is well known. Petrol and electricity came later, now there is atomic power also. For some industries like cement, chalk, limestone is essential. Englishmen thought up a shrewd plan. They induced other countries to start factories using machinery and fomented new unnecessary desires among people there. And they sold lumps of coal and chalk to these countries and got in return food grains, cotton, etc. in abundance. In this way, they brought country after country under their heel. There are no agricultural lands in the celestial world. The Vedas have no means to feed them. Durbiksham deva lokeshu manunam udakam grihe. So it is said in the first prashna of the Taitreya Aranyaka. Rain is produced when the clouds precipitate. It is only on earth that rain can be made use of. It fills the rivers, lakes and wells. The celestials have to come to our homelands for water. On earth alone, there is plenty because of cultivation carried on by irrigating the fields. There is famine in the celestial world since it has no agricultural land. This is the meaning of the words quoted from the Aranyaka. However, we need the grace of the gods if we are to be blessed with rains. To deserve such grace, we must perform sacrifices. Otherwise, there will be no rains on earth. The result will be famine, or the rain will fall into the sea and not on the land. Or it will be either ativrishti, too much rain, or anavrishti, no rain. We have to depend on the denizens of the celestial world to send us the right quantity of rain to create abundance on this planet. Just as England has plenty of coal but does not have sufficient agricultural land, the celestials have an abundance of grace but no crops to grow. they cannot also sustain themselves with their power of grace. Because they send us rain, we are able to raise crops and sustain ourselves. For our part, we can enhance the power of grace by chanting the Vedas. The oblations offered in the sacrificial fire with such chanting become their nourishment. Our country grows cotton. When our spinning mills do not prosper, the England took our cotton to Lancashire, made nice cloth and sold it to us, making in the process 4 times profit. The celestials produce rain for us from the water vapor formed from our own seas. But unlike the English, they do not make any profit out of it in the transaction. In fact, the blessings they give us are far more than sustenance we give them. As I said earlier, the celestials are much stronger than we are. The Lord has assigned us the duty of performing various rites, and the celestials have to find satisfaction in them. By doing so, it seems He has raised us to the level of the celestials. Parasparam bhavayantaha, He says in the Gita, the gods and mortals support each other. Hari Om Tat Sat.